are standing on the westmost part of Sri Lanka. This is the west end of Mannar village, locally called Ram Sethu. This should be the other end of the bridge, which started from Dhanushkodi, where we ended the first part of the Lanka Kaand episode. The whole believed bridge appears as sandy islands now. This place is about 30 kilometers southeast of Dhanushkodi in current India, which was the starting point of Ram Sethu bridge, and about 250 kilometers north of current Sri Lanka's capital, Colombo. It is believed that using the newly constructed bridge, Sri Ram's army arrived on Lanka's land for the first time at this point from the west and proceeded east towards the mainland of Lanka to reach Ravana's capital, Lankapuri. The story goes that while crossing the bridge, Bibhishan was at the lead, followed by Sugriv, while Sri Ram and Lakshman were carried by Hanuman and Angad at their respective backs, and many armies swam by the side of the bridge. As we mentioned in our earlier episode, that the name of current Sri Lanka came to existence only in 1972, whose prior name was Ceylon, given by the British in 1850, and the island was previously known in various names such as Ceylon by prior Europeans, Sahelin, Serindib or Serindibi by early Arabs, but never Lanka. In fact, Lanka is an ancient Sanskrit word which means island. Reference is found in Ayurveda. Possibly that is the reason that early Ramayana folklore took this name for Ravana's island nation. Also, Lankakand events span from mainland Bharatvarsh, a Vedic period name of current India, to Ravana's Lanka island. Early versions of Ramayana mention that Hanuman jumped hundreds yojanas, roughly 1213 km or 753 miles away from mainland Deep Kanyakumari to reach Ashokvatika. This means that Lanka Island could only be in Western Island Ocean somewhere in the archipelago of current Maldives. However, we are following the most popular belief and route to current Sri Lanka, despite many researchers' doubt that if the current Sri Lanka is at all the Lanka of Ramayana, which the early folklore developers based upon. This is the west edge of mainland Lanka. After crossing the bridge, the army assembled here first. In the story, Sri Ram asked Lakshman to find a suitable place with abundance of sweet water and ample fruit bearing trees where the army could make a safe initial base. This is believed to be the place. Currently, this is an ancient Shiva temple called Ketheeswaram temple, commemorating planet Ketu worshipping Lord Shiva here. This place is located in Mannar, a city believed to be built by Ravana's wife Mandadari. How old this temple is unknown, but believed to be built before 600 BC by the then local tribes. This temple is about 30 kilometers east of the last location, which was believed to be where Sri Ram's army first touched Lanka land. The story goes that Sri Ram wanted to have a bird's eye view of Ravana's capital Lankapuri, and from here Sri Ram and the army proceeded south for a high point. End of the day, and following Sri Ram's army, this is our first camp, Hotel Agape in Mannar. This is Vijayant again, our cameraman. He will be with us for this episode as well. And the first supper en route. To recap on the map, the travel till here in Lanka land. From Dhanushkodi here, Sri Ram and his army crossed the bridge and touched the Lanka land here. From here, the army proceeded southeast and assembled here in Mannar. From here, an organized army proceeded south this way, looking for the highest point from where Sri Ram could view mainland Lanka as well as Ravana's capital, Lankapuri, and reach this highland here. This is our chariot in Sri Lanka. We do not have flying chariot like Ravan, but we have this land chariot which would be with us for the entire tour of 9 days. And this is our chariot keeper, Hemal Nadira, who would be taking us to the locations throughout the tour. This is Adams Peak, about 7,500 feet from sea level in the central highland area. Unfortunately, the peak is now at this time covered in cloud. From the last location of Mannar, Sri Ram and the army arrived here at about 250 kilometers south at the base of this mountain. It is locally believed that this mountain is in fact the Subela or Trikut Parvat as mentioned in various versions of Ramayana. The story of Sri Ram seeing the beautiful Lankapuri rebuilt in 2 days after Hanuman burnt it is believed to be from this mountain top. The story goes that after Sri Ram seeing Ravana's citadel in Lanka, the attack strategies were devised. From here, the whole army proceeded north towards the central area. On the way to the north of Lankapuri for a possible battlefield, Sri Ram with his army is believed to have arrived near this hillock about 150 kilometers north of Adams Peak or, as believed, Trikut Parvat. The top of this hillock was flat. The story goes that Sri Ram heard musical sound from the top of the hillock up there and came to know that this was Ravana's entertainment Vanu. Sri Ram's throwing an arrow to remove Ravana's crown from his head, or Ravana's spies Suksaran getting caught by Bibhishan and Sri Ram releasing them unhurt, or Sugriva's impulsive failed attempt to attack Ravan, as described in Ramayana, relate to this segment of this story. This hillock is currently named Lion's Rock in Sigiriya. This is called Lion's Rock because of the hillock's apparent shape of a lion, and it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Geologically, the hillock is a massive column of granite rock of about 600 feet high. It was believed to be formed from the hardened magma plug of an existing volcano which existed here about 200 million years ago. The top can be reached by climbing 1,200 steps. We are not Sugriv and are skipping this climb. This place is a popular film shooting location. It is also featured in 1982 single Save a Prayer by Duran Duran. This place is located about 200 kilometers northeast from Colombo. Near Sigiriya, about 20 kilometers north in Ritigala, this is Sanjeevani mountain. According to local belief, when Hanuman was bringing Gandhamadan mountain from Himalaya to the warfield for Lakshman's cure, after he was hit by Meghnad's Shakti sail, a piece fell here, forming this mountain. Before the next shot, we hit bad rain here. Interestingly, besides many medicinal herbs, a herb called Sansevi with the power of long life and curing human pain is still found here near the crest. This is our next army camp, Sun Green Hotel in Dambulla near Sigiriya. Command office, the reception. The pool, now closed. Long day ahead. The cameraman is working on the script. This is Wasgamuwa National Park in Wasgamuwa Forest at the north of Sri Lanka's second highland knuckle range, about 50 kilometers south of the last location, Sigiriya. On the way to a possible main battlefield on the north of Lankapuri, this area could be a possible camp area for the northern battlefield. Story goes that after Sri Ram seeing Lankapuri, Vibhishan sent his ministers Anala, Panasa, Sampati, Pranati, who went inside the citadel of Lanka, assuming the form of birds, and brought information about defense arrangements made by Ravan, such as one of Ravan's sons, Prahasta, defending the eastern gate, Mahaprasava and Mahadora of mighty powers are at the southern gate. The army of Indrajit, the son of Ravan, is at the western gate, and under great anxiety, Ravan, with his magical formulas, was himself stationed at the northern area along with several thousands of demons. The story continues that based on this information, Sri Ram also devised his war strategy that Nil with army to attack Prahasta at the eastern gate, Angad with larger army to oppose Mahaprasava and Mahadora at the southern gate, Hanuman with a multitude army to enter the city through the western gate. Sugriv, Jambuvant and Vibhishan were assigned to occupy the central position of the army. Sri Ram, being determined to kill Ravan, planning forcibly entered through the northern gate along with Lakshman stationed himself at the north area. Finally, as the last effort to avoid the war, Sri Ram sent Angad to Ravan as his messenger to convey to Ravan that if he would return Sita and seek Sri Ram's forgiveness, this would stop the war. Otherwise, he would be killed and Vibhishan would be the next king. of Lanka. But Ravan was furious and ordered capture of Angad. Angad bravely escaped with Ravana's crown. A possible army camp area. This is Wadaganuwa, also called Wadaganapitia, is inside the Wasgamuwa National Park and believed to be the main or northern battlefield. In Sinhala, Yudha means war and Ganawa or Aganawaya means the area or arena. The story goes that within 2 days, Sri Ram's army attacked from all four sides simultaneously and the war started with massive battles on all fields. The war continued for 13 days when from all sides Ravana's great warriors Dhumraksha, Brajandraraksha, Kumbhakarna, Atike, Trishira, Narantak, Devantak, Mahapash, Mahode, Kumbh, Nishumb, Marakash, Akampan, Mahiravan, etc., including many Ravana's brothers and sons, were killed one by one. Here also took place the story of Sri Ram's killing Vibhishan's son, Taran Sen, who was a worshipper of Sri Ram but had to fight for his uncle Ravan. The story goes that he was enchanting Sri Ram's name so that Sri Ram did not kill him. Bibhishan advised Sri Ram to strike between the two chants. Sri Ram did, not knowing that he was Bibhishan's son, and asked who was he. Bibhishan in tears replied, "My son." It is believed that it was here the story event of Ravan's son Meghnad or Indrajit throwing Nagpashpan, releasing millions of snakes, trying Sri Ram and Lakshman, and Hanuman bringing snake-eating god bird from Kushdip to release them took place. It was also here Lakshman was injured to unconsciousness by Meghnad's Shakti shell, and Hanuman first brought Ravan's Vaid or doctor Shusen from Lankapuri, and then, upon his instruction, brought entire Gandhamadhan mountain with all required medicinal herbs, especially Vishalakarani, required for Lakshman's cure. Meghnad was fighting from behind clouds on a flying chariot in a 3-day war, but Lakshman killed him by beheading with the Anjalika Astra, a celestial weapon in Hindu mythology. Currently, this area consists of rocky serpentine soil, and it is said that the destruction caused by the war was the reason that this piece of land could never bear any vegetation again. Last look of the main warfield. Inside the park, we were in a safari jeep, that's why videos were a bit shaky. These are Salia, Kumar, and Dambika taking us to the places, and this is his company for the jeep. This is a Shiva temple called Sri Lankathe Eswarar temple located at the outskirts of Nuwara, one of the most tourist and pilgrim visited areas. The story of interruption of penance by Ravana's son Indrajit or Meghnad by Hanuman, Lakshman and Angad, as mentioned in Valmiki version of Ramayana, relates to this place. Inside the temple. This place is about 100 kilometers south from the battlefield in Wasgamuwa National Park. Next camp en route, Mount's Edge Regency, like a oasis in the hill. And hard day's work, the cameraman straight in the pool. Tea garden all over. An unbelievable viewpoint on the way, just mesmerizing. Little fuel stop. The crazy cameraman. Little waterfall on the way, tempting the cameraman. On the way, we hit another beautiful stream. The cameraman in shooting spree today. This is Lakeala Highland on Knuckle Range, about 30 kilometers south of northern Front War location. The name Lagala or Lakgala or Lakeala is derived from the Sinhala term Lakeala, meaning target rock. Lagala is said to have served as a watchtower for Ravan's army during the war, and from Lagala peak up there, Ravan not only had first sight of Sri Ram's army but also was watching and directing the war. Interestingly, most of Sri Lanka's mountain peaks being more or less flat, this peak's shape is triangular and belief goes that Sri Ram's fierce arrows hitting the target destroyed these sites. Possibly he was trying to hit the heads to side. This is Dunu area on the outskirts of Wasgamuwa National Park. In local language, Dunu means bow and Villa means lake. And this place got its name because of Sri Ram shooting his arrow from this lake. As in the story, the final deciding war was directly between Sri Ram and Ravan, and it was another 3 days war. Since Ravan was fighting on a flying chariot, God Indra sent his divine chariot with a chariot keeper, Matale, to Sri Ram. This lake is said to have been the place from where Sri Ram fired the deadly Brahmastra weapon at Ravana's naval, which was Ravana's lifeline area, and finally Ravan was killed, ending the 13 days war. This is Yahangala hillock. Yahangala means bedrock in the local language. It is believed that Ravan's body after his death was kept upon this rock for his fellow countrymen to pay their last respects to their departed king. Interestingly, there is another local legend that Ravan never died but only became unconscious, and his body remained hidden inside this rock, and one day he would wake up again. This is located at the eastern edge of Knuckles Range, not very far from the last location.
This is Sita Kotuwa in Hasalaka area. This place is famous for the first location of Sita's housing Ravan provided after reaching Lanka and hence named Sita Kotuwa. The story goes that soon after killing Ravan and the war ended, Sri Ram with key associates led by Vibhishan entered the capital city of Ravan, Lankapuri, at the central area of Lanka in search of Sita and arrived at this nearest possible location, Sita Kotuwa, which means Sita's fortress, and it is believed that soon after bringing Sita, Ravan held her captive here and later moved to another place, Ashok Bhatika. The area is said to have been the beautiful palace of Ravan's wife, Queen Mandadori. The current ruin of an old palace is locally believed to be the ruins of her palace. In the meantime, since Sri Ram could not enter a palace during exile in forest, Lakshman, along with Hanuman, Sugriv, Jambuvant, Angad, Nal, and Neel, conducted a formal coronation ceremony of Vibhishan at the throne of Lanka, and then King Vibhishan commenced to administer the kingdom of Lanka, devastated by the war, to bring back to its previous glory. This place is located at the southeast foot of Knuckles Range, about 10 kilometers south of Ravan's final resting place, the bedrock, and needs to be reached climbing down about 500 meters on uneven rocky steps from the motor road. It is a beautiful remote spot surrounded by streams and waterfalls and limestone caves with abundant flora and fauna.
This is Gurulupotha, which is believed to have served as an aircraft assembly and repair center in Lankapuri, when it is believed that Ravan's flying chariot used to be disassembled and stored when not in use. In local language, Gurulupotha means bird's parts. In Ramayana, Ravan's flying chariot is described to have had the shape of a huge peacock and was therefore locally called Dandu Monara, which means flying peacock. This place is by the side of Sita Kotua, about 1.5 kilometers away. Belief goes that not finding Sita in Sita Katua, it was decided to assemble one of Ravan's flying chariot here and fly to the next or all possible locations where Sita could be. This forested area ahead is Orang Tota, which means place of aircraft landing in local language. It is believed to be the airport where Ravan with Sita landed after she was abducted. Story goes that after assembling the chariot in Gurulupotha, it was brought in here and Sri Ram, Lakshman along with Hanuman, flew towards Ashok Vatika where Hanuman met Sita. This place is located about 6 kilometers east of Sita Kotuwa or believed Mandaduri Palace by the side of famous Mahavali Ganga, the longest river in Sri Lanka in Hasalaka area. This is in fact the eastmost location of our travel in Sri Lanka and is around 140 kilometers east of Colombo.
This is our first post-war peace camp, Dambanagala Palace in Meemure in the middle of nowhere. The first post-war summer.
On the road again. While Sri Ram was flying in search of Sita, we were not that fortunate and followed the search route in our chariot on the road towards Ashok Vatika.
On the way to the next location, we hit this special tourist train like Maharaja Express in India.
En route, we hit the Sri Bhakta Hanuman temple in the village Ramboda near Nuwara Eliya. It is believed this was the place where Hanuman took rest while on his way to search Sita when he came to Lanka for the first time. Although this temple is new, built in 1999, but commemorates the event.
Inside, there is a Hanuman deity, tallest in Sri Lanka, about 18 feet. Unfortunately, the temple is closed now and we cannot show.
Interestingly, the Tamil word for Ramboda means Rama's force. This is why Ramboda is also believed to be one of the areas where Sri Ram's troops were assembled.
And the cameraman's camera act. Long chariot ride today, little tea break. This is our next post-war camp, Miraj King Cottage in Nuwara area. And this is the highest camp of our tour, about 6,000 feet from sea level, surrounded by vegetable and tea plantation, also a lake far ahead. Very colonial entrance and very colonial accommodation block. In fact, here we are staying more than one night for the first time in the tour.
This is Yahangala Botanical Garden. While in search of Sita after the war, the flying chariot first landed here at Ashok Vatika, which used to be a garden of Ravan in Lanka, as mentioned in Ramayana. The story goes that Sita was brought in here from Sita Kotuwa and held captive when Sita refused to stay near Ravana's palace, and preferred to stay under the Ashoka tree here, hence the name Ashok Vatika. It was here Hanuman met Sita for the first time and identified himself with the finger ring of Sri Ram during the previous visit to Lanka as depicted in Sundarkand. The local story goes that after visit of Hanuman and fire destruction of a major part of Lankapuri, Sita was moved to a secret location and Sri Ram could not find her here as well, but found out about the secret location in a cave and Hanuman proceeded towards the cave in search of Sita. This place is located inside the Yahangala Botanical Garden at the base of a rock formation and the area is known as Sita Eliya, close to the current resort city of Nuwara Eliya, about 50 kilometers south from the last location as well as about 100 kilometers east of Colombo. For this part, we traveled in a golf cart and this is Pradeep who took us to the places. Thank you, Pradeep. Currently, nearby here is this Sita Amman temple commemorating Sita staying in Ashok Vatika and some close-ups. When Hanuman possibly jumps, we travel through these roads by the side of tea gardens. Finally, Hanuman found and rescued Sita from here in a cave complex called Stripura, about 10 kilometers away. Stripura in local language means an area of women, and this was the place Ravan shifted Sita as a precautionary measure which he was forced to take to keep Sita hidden after Hanuman's visit and especially during the war. It was in this cave Sita was held prisoner with over 1,500 women to attend to her every need. It was here Sita for the first time got the message of Sri Ram's victory over Ravan and Sri Ram was waiting nearby to see her. As per local belief, Bibhishan sent for her royal dress and jewellery, but Sita declined to wear because she wanted to meet her husband the way she lived with him during the exile. She took a bath, got dressed with whatever jewelry she had remaining, and accompanied Hanuman to meet Sri Ram. This cave is in the Oilimada area. On this rocky plateau, there are lots of intruding tunnels and caves, which seems to be a part of great ingenious network of tunnel paths believed to be created by Ravan, interconnected to many locations of Ravana's city for easy and quicker access.
This is Veer Singh, a local villager who had been kind enough to bring us here through his hillside paddy fields as there was no accessible walkway.
This is an old 7th century Buddhist monastery named Dribhrumpola Raja Mahavihara in Nugathawala area about 10 kilometers south of Stripura cave where Sita was found. It was believed that Sita met her husband for the first time here after she was abducted. The story goes that when Sita came to meet Sri Ram after such a long time, she was overcome with emotions. But Sri Ram seemed lost in thought. At length he spoke, I have killed my enemy. I have done my duty as a true king, but you have lived for a year in the enemy's abode. It is not proper. I take you back now. Sita as well as all around were shocked. You have broken my heart, Sita continued. Only the uncultured speak like this. Have you forgotten the noble family I come from? Is it my fault Ravan carried me off by force? All the time my mind, my heart, and soul were fixed on you alone. She turned to Lakshman and said with tears streaming from her eyes, prepare for me a fire. That's the only remedy for this sorrow of mine. Lakshman, in suppressed anger, looked at Sri Ram's face, but there was no softening. Lakshman then lit a big fire. Sita reverently went round her husband and approached the blazing fire, saying, if I am pure, O fire, protect me, and she jumped into the fire. This place is believed to be the place of the fire. Then arose out of the flames Agnidev, the fire god, whom she invoked. He lifted Sita from the flames unharmed and presented her to Sri Ram, saying, don't you know that she is spotless and pure? Sri Ram started crying and stood up to receive her and said to Agnidev, it is for the sake of the world that I made her go through this ordeal of fire, so that the truth may be known to all. This is believed to be the path which Sita took towards the fire. Currently, in the monastery compound, here is this commemorative temple. A statue of Sita, the tallest statue of Sita in Sri Lanka. Also, a painting of the event. Dribrum means place of oath in local language. Continuing the practice for over thousands of years, local villagers still pledge their fidelity or take oaths here, and even in certain courts, this kind of oath is valid even today. Little tea break en route. This pair of shoe has traveled with me from Ayodha to Lanka. This is Totupola Kanda, which means a landing site, is located at Houghton Plains Reserve Forest area on Patipola, Ohio Road, about 20 kilometers southeast of the last location of Sita Agniparikha. This location is the highest point of the tour, about 7,000 feet from sea level. Story goes that after the event of Sita's Agnipariksha, only 2 days were left to complete the 14 years of exile, and as at the time of Sri Ram's departure from Ayodhya, Bharat told Sri Ram if he was one day late in returning after completion of 14 years, he would give his life by burning himself. Sri Ram was worried how he could return in 2 days. By the time Bibhishan assembled Ravana's long howl flying chariot, which Ravan used for kidnapping Sita, and made it ready at this landing area of Ravan on the southern side of Lankapuri so that Sri Ram could fly back to Ajodhya quickly. It was here, in this landing ground, Sri Ram bid farewell to Bibhishan and flew with the chariot, instructing Sugriva's army to return to Kiskinda using the Ram Sethu bridge. Also, as Sri Ram's close associates wanted to accompany Sri Ram, the flying chariot flew from here along with Sugriv, Hanuman, Jambuvan, Angad, Nal and Neel towards Ayodha. This location is currently named World's End because of this cliff with a drop of about 4,000 feet. This is the southmost location in our Sri Lanka tour, about 75 kilometers north of south end of the country.
While Sri Ram flew, we followed him on road.
This is Chilaw, which in Tamil means pearl fishery, a fishing city in the central west end of Lanka or Sri Lanka near the sea located about 150 kilometers northwest of last location Totupula Kanda from where Sri Ram started flying with the chariot to return home and about 75 kilometers north of Colombo. The city is famous for Mahatma Gandhi's visit here in 1927.
And this is our last camp, Carolina Beach Hotel, right across the ocean. Closing show of cameraman in the swimming pool. And the Last Supper.
Currently, here is this Muneswaram Shiva temple commemorative to Sri Ram's landing here en route Ayodha.
The story goes that while flying Ravana's chariot, Sri Ram felt that he was being followed by Brahmashti Dosham or an evil black shadow as he had killed Ravan who was a Brahmin. When the chariot was passing over here, he realized that the black shadow was not following at this particular point. He immediately landed here and prayed to Lord Shiva for a remedy, and Lord Shiva advised Sri Ram to install a linga here. Sri Ram then created a Shiva linga with the available sand nearby and performed prayers to get rid of the dosham before going to Ayodhya as per Lord Shiva's proclamation. Inside the temple, this is another Shiva temple, Manabhari Kovil, not very far from the last temple in Chilaw. Local belief goes that here also Sri Ram installed a Shiva lingam and prayed. This is locally called Rama lingam. This is the only lingam named after Sri Ram in Sri Lanka. Little lunch break at a roadside shack. Inside, buffet and fish platter, naturally in Sri Lanka. This is the sea in Chilaw nearby, and Sri Ram flew again with the chariot towards Ayodhya from here, a journey towards the north for the first time in 14 years. In Raghuvamsham epic of poet Kalidas, it is said that seeing the vast ocean and land from Ravana's flying chariot while leaving Lanka, Sri Ram narrated the beauty as follows.
दूरदर्शक्रनिभसितन्नि तमालताली वनराजी नीला आभाति बेला लवनम्मुराशे धारा निभद्देव कलंकरेखा. Since I started the project 8 years back, I always had in mind to end the documentary with this slope. Ayodha is this way. Here ends Sri Ram's exile story with a travel of about 5,000 kilometers in 14 years of exile journey, and also here ends our last episode. This is Lalit Ceylon Expedition who has organized our tour, the entire tour, including transport and accommodation. Thank you very much, Lalit, and thank you very much, Nadira. Lalit has given these beautiful mementos. I was in tears. And this is Binoy Bala along with cameraman Vijayant, Megalith Video, signing off from Colombo, Sri Lanka.
To recap the travel on the map, this is the map of Sri Lanka. Sri Ram entered Lanka land at Mannar here, then went south to Adams Peak here for a bird's eye view of Ravana's capital Lankapuri. The war and killing of Ravan took place at the central area here. After a long search, Sita was found in Tripura cave here. Finally, Sri Ram flew back to Ayodhya from Houghton Plains with a stop in Chilaw. Also, to recap on the India map, Sri Ram started his exile journey from Ayodhya here, then lived in Chitrakoot here for 2 years, then Dandokaranya or Danduk forest for 10 years in this area, then Panchavati here where Ravan abducted Sita, then Sri Ram travelled to Kiskinda here where he met Hanuman and Sugriv. From Kiskinda, Sri Ram with Sugriv's army reached Lanka here for a war with Ravan. As per many researchers, the early version of the folklore Ramayana ended at Lanka Kaand. When the folklore started over 2000 years back, there was only 5 Kaands: Ayodhya, Aranya, Kiskinda, Sundar and Lanka. With the popularity of the lore, the Balkand and Uttarkand were added at a later time to expand the story, something like prequel and sequel. The logic behind is that many parts of these two later added Kands are repeats of believed original 5 Kands.